Austin? San Antonio? What are the best small towns to live in Central Texas? I can show you. Next. Welcome back everyone, I'm Tony Freese with eXp Realty, and I'm glad you found my channel, where I showcase and discuss my hometown New Braunfels, Texas in weekly videos. Today, I'm going to go a little beyond the boundaries of my city, and I'm going to explore what else is in between Austin and San Antonio. Why? The median price of a home in Austin is $433,000 and $365,000 in the Austin Round Rock metro area. That's a lot for Texas, a lot. But not so much for people from California and New York. So there's this large migration of businesses and people looking at Austin right now. It's like gold fever in San Francisco, 1849. There's a housing shortage resulting in multiple offer situations. 60 or more offers sometimes. And sellers are getting thousands more than what their home is probably worth. The dust will settle, folks. So if you're lucky enough to get your contract accepted, I hope you're still happy in a couple of years. What's the housing market like in smaller cities in between the metropolises? They're growing. Some of the shortages still exist, but they're just not as expensive. I live in Central Texas. There's a bunch of smaller cities, nice options. Some closer to Austin, some closer to San Antonio. So let's get in the little red wagon and drive around and look at some of them. I want to look at the downtown areas, and since I had such a good feedback on my footage from Land to Park in my first video, I'll scope out what these towns have to offer in the way of public recreation. Hey, how do you get off this tiny planet? Okay, here we go. We're starting in Hays County. Kyle, Texas is just 21 miles from Austin. It was founded in 1880, and until recently it was just a farming community. Hays County has become the fastest growing county in Texas according to the U.S. Census, and that's because of cities such as Kyle and neighboring Buda being so close to Austin. Kyle is currently growing at an astronomical rate of 3.5% annually. I wanted to remark on the fact that despite having a population of 48,000, the number of listings in Kyle for December was only 21, down 86.6% from a year earlier. You can see there was less than 1 month of inventory, meaning if you could halt all of the listings, how long would it take for you to run out of homes? This figure has been very low in Austin, less than a month. I should say that many cities across America are experiencing some of this. My daughter Randy is a realtor in Austin, and she says that things are beginning to thaw there. Some homeowners are finally realizing it's time to sell. They just don't have anywhere to move to right now, so it's going to be a slow process. In a balanced, healthy market, you should have about 6 months worth of inventory. Kyle has 0.2 of 1 month. So yeah, that's not good. Kyle is a super town though. Buda is too. Buda is actually a little closer to Austin, so I didn't include it on my list. But you should definitely check out both of these towns if your plans don't include moving in the next few months. Kyle offers residents a sparse suburban feel. Everything you need is here, shopping, dining. If you need the big boxes, they're right along the highway. The downtown is cute. There is some discussion of revitalizing it and expanding it with bars and such, but there is some pushback from local residents. You can really only hope that Kyle and Buda are in good hands with their leaders and planners. Okay, did you see that? Kyle is known as the pie capital of Texas. It's official. Google it. And this is the Texas Pie Company. So I know I just got started, but it's already time for a pit stop. Just as wonderful as you would expect. Lake Kyle, a managed conservation preserve, offers catch and release fishing. There's a lot of wide open space around the lake. A lot. Jesse would love to chase the ball here. There's also a lot of rules. No pets, no smoking, no alcohol, no swimming, no overnight parking or camping without a permit, no personal watercraft. It was very windy. No trees to block the wind. A number of windmills for some reason. This is probably a great place to fly a kite. The lake is stocked with mostly catfish, I understand. If you're not fishing and don't mind the hike from the parking lot, it would be a nice place for a picnic or just a walk. It's a fairly new lake and it was very beautiful. Also in Hays County is San Marcos, 51 miles from Austin and 49 miles from San Antonio, so it's right in between. It's growing less than 1.65%, which is low for the area, but higher than the average in Texas, which is 1.29%. Home prices are way up, though, due to the lack of inventory. You'll find that all of the towns on the list have been sellers' markets for a while, with inventory continuing to shrink. Like I mentioned, I do think that trend will begin to reverse, however. San Marcos is a college town, home to Texas State University, a public research university established in 1899. Is it a party school? You'll have to look that up. My oldest daughter did graduate from there. So did our 36th president, Lyndon Baines Johnson. Let's just say it's a popular second choice. Consequently, the nearby historic downtown area is bustling, with many of the businesses catering to a younger crowd. 3 of the city's 5 craft breweries are located downtown, along with beer gardens and other night spots. This town is the perfect destination for anyone who loves spending time in nature. San Marcos is home to more than 1,200 acres of parkland and 22 miles of hiking trails. I visited Rio Vista. The parking stank, but the 14-acre spread features tennis courts and a swimming pool, picnic areas, and hiking and biking trails. It has a long path that parallels the river. You can kayak, fish, meet friends, enjoy the sun, tube the rapids, and just cool off. It's pet-friendly and kind of small, but really beautiful. The water in the park are very clean. I'm jumping down now to Seguin in Guadalupe County. The community of Seguin was established in 1838, just 16 months after the Texas Revolution began. It was officially incorporated in 1853. It's currently growing at a rate of 1.19%, the lowest on our list and lower than the average in Texas. Median closing price was $233,740, up 30.6%, another huge jump. In just a few years, a number of newer neighborhoods have contributed to a change in what was traditionally a lower than average priced market. Months of inventory actually increased here. Seguin is still supported by a solid industrial base, manufacturing plants making steel, electronic products, mowing equipment, construction materials, etc. The heart of Seguin is another historic downtown district where you can find hand-pressed brick buildings from the 1840s. I've been to downtown Seguin dozens of times, and it strikes me as a clean, flourishing, friendly place with a lot of shops and restaurants packed into a pretty small square that you can walk around fairly easily. There's also a memorial to the town's namesake, Colonel Juan N. Seguin, one of Sam Houston's ablest lieutenants. He participated in the great victory at San Jacinto and later served as a Republic of Texas senator and as mayor of San Antonio. I visited 2 parks in Seguin, a small one close to downtown that's just plain pretty and probably a great place to take a lunch. Walnut Springs Park is a network of walkways and bridges along the banks of Walnut Branch, a small side stream of the Guadalupe River. The whole thing is about 2 stories lower than the streets of downtown and it's shaded from a tree canopy. The other park I visited surprised me. I'd never been and was shocked by how huge it was. You can fish along the Guadalupe River and take long walks on the manicured paths. There are huge pecan trees, which will probably be a ton of shade in the summer. There's a nice playground, plenty of picnic pavilions, a disc golf setup, basketball courts, and an adjacent baseball field. Cibolo is in Guadalupe County. Schertz is in Guadalupe, as well as Comal and Bexar counties. Both of these towns are about 25 miles from San Antonio, 62 miles from Austin. I think they're more suburbs of San Antonio. They became cities much later. Although the first settlers came to Schertz around 1843, it wasn't incorporated as a city until 1958. Cibolo voted to become an independent township on October 9, 1965. They had populations of just a few hundred until I-35 opened and San Antonio began its outward expansion. Both cities experienced further substantial growth in the 1990s. The median closing price was $265,000, up only 6.5%. I say only, it's definitely a jump, but a lot of the area is relatively new, as we've discussed. And like most other towns, low inventory. There's a lot of that fairly new suburban housing here. It's not all houses. There are large stretches of rural farm and ranch lands. So you do have a peaceful atmosphere, high population of families, and excellent school systems. You're very close to Randolph Air Force Base, and of course, close to San Antonio. I-35 honestly is a nightmare. But there are back ways, and they're actually a pleasure to drive sometimes. They don't really have downtown areas except for a few quaint strips like this one. That's a fine barbecue restaurant in Cibolo, by the way. I spent a little time in Crescent Bend Nature Park. They've got a 1.6-mile loop trail, a nice and easy, well-maintained nature trail with lots of signs describing local flora and fauna, especially birds. There's even a bird blind. I met Dave there. He told me the park was reclaimed land that was once a residential area vacated due to floods. He actually used to live there. Says it still floods, but who cares now? The vegetation is lush and he's become quite the enthusiast. So we're ready to bring it home to New Braunfels. But first I wanted to ask you to give my video a like, even if you think it's crummy. If you really do like it, like it. Consider subscribing and hit the notification bell, which lets you know I've posted a new video. This helps my channel tremendously because when viewers do that, the YouTube computers will think, hey, people like this guy. Let's offer it up to others that are searching for this kind of content, you see? So thank you. New Braunfels is in both Comal and Guadalupe counties. It's currently growing at a rate of 5.96% annually, one of the fastest growing in the country. Take a look at my first video and you can see why there's a lot to like. Some local friends have suggested that I focused on these other towns, so maybe this video is something of a peace offering to them. There are growing pains, but I have to say that New Braunfels has met the challenge like a champ. More on this in just a moment. The median closing price rose only 4.3% to $270,000. I think this is what you're finding on this San Antonio side of the I-35 corridor. The outlier was Seguin. All right, Jesse, are you ready to go? The downtown area is a clean, safe, vibrant, and historic place where locals and visitors enjoy a restored and well-preserved city center. Specialty retail, dining, lodging, and businesses mixed with cultural arts, festivals, and special events. Jesse and I wound up back in Landa Park to capture some of the things I missed last time. The weather changed again, typical for Texas in the winter. A little nippy today, it'll be warm again tomorrow probably. There's the aquatic complex with an Olympic-sized swimming pool, and also a spring-fed pool that feels more like a natural swimming hole with fun slides and things for the whole family. It's closed for winter, but I'll bring the camera back this summer so you can see how fun and popping this place is. All of this channeled water through the park and into Landa Lake and beyond into the Comal River comes from an aquifer managed by the Edwards Aquifer Habitat Conservation Plan, which maintains the ecosystem, monitors water quality, and removes litter. The trees are massive, including Founder's Oak, which dates back to 1700. Yeah, that's an old tree. I know a lot of great things are happening in the larger cities all over Texas. There's also a lot to question, but the new friends we've made in New Braunfels that are from out of state are awesome. They're just looking for the same things we've always treasured. They're not trying to change anything, they just want to enjoy the culture and traditions that have made this and surrounding towns so attractive for over 150 years. If that sounds like you, let me first thank you for watching this video all the way to the end. And if you're thinking about moving to Texas, I'd like to hear all about your exciting plans. If you haven't already, make sure to check out these 2 other videos. I plan on making more. Right now, Suzanne and I are working on a burger tour for a future video. So if you have a favorite hamburger joint in New Braunfels, let me know in the comments.